Let's start with the prayers. Om Bhadram Karnebhi Shrunuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashe Makshabhiryajatraha Stirairangaihi Stuštuvagum Sastanobihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swasti no Indro Vriddhashavaha Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedaha Swasti nastakshorarishtanemihi Swasti no Brihaspatirdhadato Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We are doing the Mandukya Upanishad, a very good Upanishad to understand our true nature. This is a Upanishad which teaches me directly who I am. In 12 short mantras, the entire truth is revealed, and it's one of the most famous Upanishads studied by all spiritual students. Very important point in this Upanishad we should basically understand is the principle of adhyasa, or in English it's called as superimposition. That's a fundamental thing you should understand before we start this Upanishad. This is called as adhyasa, and a bhashyam on this, a commentary on this, is the beginning of the Brahma Sutras. Brahma Sutra is a text which ties up all the Upanishads into one thread. Upanishads discuss many things, but what is the fundamental truth? In all these Upanishads, what is the one truth? This we get when we study the Brahma Sutras, which is written by Vyasacharya, who was a Vishnu avatara. And in this Brahma Sutra, Shankaracharya has written a commentary. The beginning of Brahma Sutra commentary, Shankaracharya writes an adhyasa bhashyam, very famous bhashyam commentary. The entire Vedanta rests on this adhyasa bhashyam. The whole Advaita principle, Advaita Shastra, is based on adhyasa. Let me spend a couple of minutes to explain to you what this adhyasa means. Adhyasa is of two types. One in which we are born with, and the second is a deliberate adhyasa which we make in life. All of us are born with ignorance about our true nature. We don't know who we are. Right from birth, we are not aware that we are Atma. This Atma principle, awareness, consciousness principle, is hidden. Because this is hidden, we unknowingly make a superimposition on that Atma. and which is I am this body. That is a superimposition by which we are born with. Nobody teaches us that I am something different than the body. As we grow and go into school, adolescent, and different stages, we become aware of our mind, our emotions. Then we take ourselves to be the mind. These two we are born with this adhyasa, a superimposition on the real I, which is Atma I, which is the awareness, pure consciousness I. That consciousness exists before the birth of the body. It exists during the life of the body. It exists after the death of the body. That is called Atma. On that I, the pure consciousness, awareness I superimpose due to ignorance, which is called as mula avidya. I am the body. In real terms, in experientially, there are other deliberate superimpositions which we make. For example, when we wear a school dress, we put a superimposition, I belong to this school, this college. Then we have a superimposition of citizenship of a country. I belong to so-and-so club. I am a doctor, lawyer. These are all identities which we deliberately superimpose on the Atma. We wear, we have the thread ceremony. I become a brahmachari, that also is a superimposition for me to start and understand I am a Vedic student. Similarly, we get married. So marriage is also a type of superimposition. Till a few years ago, I was not married. I started identifying someone as a husband or a spouse. That is again a superimposition. So superimposition is not new to us. It is very, very common phenomena in our lives. So there is one superimposition we are born with, taking ourselves as the body and mind. The second is a deliberate superimposition which we put on as we grow in life. I am vanaprastha, sannyasi. That is also a superimposition on the real Atma. Mandukya Upanishad takes the superimposition at the highest level and tells us the entire waking state is a superimposition. The dream state is a superimposition. The sleep state is a superimposition on Atma. This is a huge jump from small, I am the body, mind, to I am a grahastha, brahmachari, vanaprastha, sannyasi, lawyer, doctor. These are all small ones. But here, the Upanishad says the entire waking state, the identity, the ego which says I am a waker, I am a dreamer, I am a sleeper. That is a superimposition. It is something which is put on and put off. I become a waker, I put off the waking dress, become a dreamer. I put off the dream dress, I become the sleeper. I put off the sleep dress, again I become the waker. I put on the gross body, I become the waker. I drop the gross body, I put on my subtle body, I superimpose the subtle body on the Atma, I become the dreamer. I drop the gross body and the subtle body, I put on the causal body, I become the sleeper. So this Upanishad takes the three bodies, the three avasthas, and then tells us they are all superimposed on Atma. This is the theory of superimposition. Even the Panchakoshas as an extension is a superimposition on the Atma. Atma means what? Our own pure presence, our own pure nature of a pure being, without the dress of the gross body, subtle body, causal body. That is the definition of Atma. And this Upanishad uses a method called as adhyasa. Once you have understood the concept of superimposition, we must understand how this Upanishad reveals my pure nature as Atma. The first mantra before you clearly says Om is the word which represents this Atma, and this Om represents the timeless principle which is the nature of Atma. It is in time, it is beyond time. In time we all know, but we are ignorant about what exists beyond time. That is called as Om. The second mantra defines what is Brahman. Brahman means a totality which is experienced. Entire universe. And then it says, this Brahman or this pure being exists in the individual body and in the total universe, in the world, prapancha. When it exists in the body, we call this pure being as Atma. When it exists in the entire world, when I see the world, that it is the body of a cosmic being who is given a name Brahman. That pure the nature of that cosmic being is awareness. The nature of this body, this individual with this body, is also awareness. The second mantra equates the awareness in the individual with the awareness of the totality. The whole world, there is one awareness principle. It says, I am Atma, Brahma. And this Brahma has got 4 parts. What are the parts? It describes in the next few mantras. This is where adhyaropa and apavada, the methodology, the prakriya, which is adopted by the Upanishad, you should understand. In the third and the fourth mantra, it is called as adhyaropa. This is the superimposition state, where in the third mantra, the entire waking state is superimposed on this Atma, the pure consciousness. What it is, we have already seen. Vishwa, Virat, all that we have seen. The fourth mantra is the second pada, which is the dream state. This is also a superimposition on the pure being, the pure presence. The second pada, we have given two names. All of you remember this, Taijasa and Hiranyagarbha. The fifth and the sixth mantra are the apavada. Apavada means negation. And the fifth and the sixth mantra, they talk about the sleep state. In the sleep state, again, two names are given, Prajna and Ishvara. Again, the sleep state is a state where I am full of ignorance, tamoguna. And this tamoguna covers the nature of, it veils the nature of Atma or Brahman. And in the sixth mantra, very important mantra, it says that this sleep state in which I am there, I am merged, I merge myself with Ishvara. So in the fifth mantra, it says that this is the gateway for the other two waking and dream states. Very important point to note. The fifth mantra says this is the cause. The sleep state is the cause for the waking and dream. And the next important point we should understand is that I, who am an individual in the waking state, I am one with Ishvara in the sleep state. I merge, that consciousness in me merges with that Ishvara principle. And beyond this sixth, this fifth and sixth is called as the negation. I negate my adhyaropa state. I am not the waker, I am not the dreamer. In the sixth mantra and the fifth, I say I am the sleeper, I am now merged, I am one consciousness principle, mass of consciousness which is undifferentiated. There is no differentiation, there is no subject-object duality, there is no triputi of knower, known and knowing, there is no karta, karma and the organ of action, karakams. All that gets into one mass of consciousness, which is what is called as Ishvara principle. This adhyaropa and apavada gets completed in the next mantra, in the seventh mantra, which we have started last week. And our nature, which is beyond this adhyaropa and apavada, that means beyond the three ego states, the states in which I am identified with the mind, there is another state, which is the fourth pada, which is called as turiyam, or you can call it Brahman. So in 7 mantras, the entire teaching of Veda, running into thousands of verses, Veda Purva, Veda Anta, so many Upanishads have got. So this is a shortest Upanishad which we know. 12 mantras. There are different Upanishads with different numbers of mantras. Kaivalya Upanishad, another small Upanishad, is about 25 mantras. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad is the biggest. Chandogya is the biggest. They are too big. Brihadaranyaka is the biggest. Below that is Chandogya Upanishad. If you want to know the list of Upanishads and how many mantras in each so that you can study them one by one, you can go to the website of Vedanta students. You will have all those details there. So in the seventh mantra, this drishyam which we see, the world which we see, merges with the sakshi, the drik. Ultimately, there is no drishyam, but drik alone exists. Advaitam is the truth of this world. This is Shankaracharya's Advaita Bhashyam. He says clearly, if you want to have moksha, liberation from this body, the only way is to know this truth, which is called as turiyam, which is called as Brahman. Knowing this truth correctly in the way it is presented in this Upanishad helps me to drop my wrong identification that I am the body, I am the mind, and automatically you claim whatever is the remainder. There are no words to describe Atma. What we are doing in the seventh mantra is negation. I am not this, I am not this. That is what we are doing in this seventh mantra. Let me go back to the section where we stopped last week. In the seventh mantra, this is where we stopped. And here, so now you have understood the whole principle of Mandukya Upanishad, where it is a superimposition of the waker, dreamer, and the sleeper on my pure being. I am a pure being. That superimposition I learned to drop. And what is that pure being is described, or it's put into these formats in these words, which we'll see one by one. So the four padas are clear now, and you should be able to understand very distinctly what the fourth pada is. If you have any questions or doubts regarding this methodology, please ask me. Put a note in the chat box, your question in the chat box. Or if you are remotely listening to this talk after the talk is over, you can send an email to me with your question, and I will try to answer or call you if it needs a bigger description or a more explanation. I want each one of you to understand this Upanishad. It's such a simple Upanishad. Each one of you should say, yes, I have understood this Atma. In my own nature, I know what is this. I know I am a pure being. That is the culmination of this Upanishad. After the seventh mantra, there is a upasana on Omkara, which will help us to claim this turiya as our real nature. Now let us try to understand this pure being, which is being described as the fourth state. It is not the waking state. It is not the dream state. It is not the sleep state, but it is a state beyond these three states of the mind. The three states are together called as the ego, ahamkara. Whenever I am in the three states, this pure being, instead of abiding in the self because of ignorance, starts identifying with the gross body and says, I am experiencing the gross world. Then, instead of abiding in the self as the true nature, it identifies with the dream body and the dream experiences, and then it says, I am a dreamer. That is also an ego. It's very important to understand this ego, because it is this ego which is the cause of bondage. It is this ego, when it resolves in Atma, is the cause of liberation. In meditation, when I learn to drop that ego and abide as the pure being, I am living my true nature. Once I learn to live as a pure being, I can face whatever comes in the world as life's experiences. The pure being is the ultimate truth. Whatever I experience in life, it is because of the interaction of the physical body, the mind, the sense organs, and the world. The interactions are together is called as appearance. I am real, the pure being. Whatever I experience is defined as mithya. Mithya means it is an appearance. It appears in time. It resolves in time. All our mental worries, they appear in time, they resolve in time. That's why it is given a name, mithya. Mithya means an appearance in consciousness. If you are not aware of the consciousness, you are a totally ignorant person in terms of the spiritual understanding. You may be very, very knowledgeable with reference to the world. You may be making pots of money. You may be a billionaire, millionaire. Those are all superimpositions on Atma. If you really don't know who you are, and you live all your life with superimpositions and just thinking that they are all real, instead of thinking they are appearances because of this study, then what happens is you have wasted your life, because the appearances will come and go. Your richness will come and go. In the sleep state, you are neither rich or poor. You're neither a lawyer or a doctor. Who are you? You're not any of these dresses which are put on, which is what is called as superimpositions. The Upanishad is trying to clearly tell us, you are the Atma, you are the turiyam I, which is beyond the three states of consciousness. At the same time, these three states do not exist without this consciousness. These are the two fundamental points you should remember. Immanent principle means this turiyam is there throughout the waking state, dream state, and the sleep state. Transcendental principle means it can exist beyond and it can exist independently. When you understand this awareness principle, which can exist independently, that transcendental nature which will help you to claim, I am immortal. I am not a mortal body. I am not a mortal mind. I am the immortal turiyam Atma. This is a direct benefit of the study of the Upanishads. All the worries which we have, if you are able to understand that they do not exist in sleep, they are only appearances which come. They do disturb my body and mind, but having this knowledge of this pure awareness helps me to face any pain or pleasure which I get in these three states. This is the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. In the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Dvamimau Purushau Loke Sharaks Akshara Devacha, that verse 14 and 15th verse of the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita explains to us the same principle. Uttama Purusha refers to the Turiyam I. The perishable Purusha, which we are talking about in the Bhagavad Gita in the 15th chapter, Shara Purusha, belongs to this ego I. Akshara Purusha is the Ishvara. Akshara Purusha is this Turiyam I. So in this body, there are two. One is Kshara, Akshara. Shara means the ego and its experiences. Akshara means the Atma, which is the real I, which is the spiritual I, which is the Turiyam I, immortal I. I learned to drop my identification for the self as the body and mind, and then I say, I am the Turiyam I. Now, Antak Prajnam. Antak Prajnam, not Vaishwanara. Actually, it should be the other way around. It should be Na Bahish Prajnam. The first one should be Na Bahish Prajnam. Bahish Prajnam means it is the waker I. I am aware of the external world. Now, Anta Prajna means the dreamer I. I am not the consciousness which is connected with the dream world. I am not the Vishwa or the Virat in the waking state. I am not the Taijasa or Hiranyagarbha in the dream state. So it is one consciousness principle, one awareness principle, which has got two windows. Through one window, I experience the waking world. Bahish Prajnam. Prajnam means consciousness. Then, through another window, I experience the dream world, which is an internal consciousness because you're internally perceiving the dream world, projected by the mind, but seen in the light of consciousness. No Ubhayata Prajnam. See, sometimes early in the morning, we are half asleep, half awake. So the Upanishad also tells us clearly that I am not a combination of the sleep and waking states. Sometimes you close your eyes, sometimes you open the eye, you see a little bit of dream. You also suddenly become aware of this is called a half dream, half sleep state. So the Upanishad is very clear. It says You are not the Ubhayat Prajnam, means a mixture of waking and dream. Na prajnana ghanam. Na prajnana ghanam means mass of consciousness. I am not the sleeper I. Na prajnam. Na prajnam means I am not an inert object. I'm not a knower of all things at one time. I don't know everything at one time. I know little, but I am not aware of everything at one time. So I am not separately or combined, or I am not inert. Na aprajnam. That is what is meaning of inert nature. So if you see all this, what we are trying to understand is the awareness principle and inert principle. Inert means objects don't have a mind. They are totally inert. They are tamo guna pradhana. The moment there is an element of a mind in living beings, whether it is plant, animal, human, the mind decides the gunas, whether it is sattvic, rajasic, and so on. People who have studied the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, you can recall what it means. But in simple terms, there is a pure consciousness, a pure being, which is available, which is my real nature. Through one window, I see the waking state, through the window of the gross body. Through the window of the subtle body, I have the experiences of the dream world. Through the causal body, I have the experience of the sleep world, which is basically ignorance. So the Upanishad is saying, I am not any of the identities which come to me when the mind is active, semi-active, or passive. That is what is slowly being told to us, so that we realize our pure nature. So I'm not the waker, the knower of objects in the waking state. I'm not the dreamer, the knower of objects in the dream state. I am neither in between a knower. I am not a knower of all objects simultaneously. I am not the nothingness which I experience in sleep. And lastly, I am not inert. So almost all our experiences are negated. You might wonder, is there something called as Atma? If all this is negated, then what is left out? Then the Upanishad says, adrishtam. It is not perceptible by the sense organs. Whatever your senses perceive is anitya, it is anatma. If you say, I am experiencing it, you can say that it is not Atma. Suppose you say, I'm experiencing the world. What we say is the world is anatma. You are the observer, you are the drik principle, you are not the drishyam. Adrishtam means it cannot be perceived by the senses. Then next comes avyavaharyam. Avyavaharya means you can't transact with that Atma. In the presence of the Atma, things go on, but Atma is not a doer or enjoyer. You cannot, it doesn't participate in the transactions. There's no giving and taking, because it is not an object of the sense organs or the mind. It cannot do anything. Therefore, we say it is intransactable, avyavaharyam. These are very, very deep, meaningful words. If you meditate on the nature of the Atma with each of these words, that will take you directly to the core of your personality. Agrahyam. See, now we have seen, we have come to know you cannot, that means none of the jnana indriyas you can use to know Atma, because the jnana indriyas are all turning outside to the world. The eyes see the forms and color. The sounds are heard by the ears. The smell is smelled by the nostrils. The tongue is responsible for the taste which comes into the tongue. So none of this is Atma. Atma is something beyond this. Agrahyam means now you're coming to organs of action. You have finished organs of knowledge. Now organs of action. You can't hold it. You can't kick like Atma like a football, because it's not an object. It is a presence. It is a awareness, consciousness. Very different than all objects, or very different than all matter principles. Very, very different. But you can know, because it's a presence. It is you. It is realizable. It is, see, when you start understanding Atma, you will feel that it is very much tangible, like anything else in the world. But it is, you need a very sharp mind, which is purified mind, to feel this presence of Atma. The mind has to learn through training of these Upanishadic words, understand the meanings in depth. You can feel this presence because it is our own nature. And once you are able to feel this presence as the pure nature of your own being, then life becomes easy. Life becomes, okay, I will face whatever comes, that's it. Because that is given to us. It is something, it's a prarabdha karma which comes in the way of different sukham and dukkham. Pleasure and pain come to the body, but not to the Atma. Achintyam. Achintyam means I can't think of the Atma, because it is not a thought. It is behind the thinker. It is aware of the thinker. Thinker is nothing else but a thought. A thought is an impulse in the mind. And that impulse is aware. That light of consciousness is the only thing which can make you aware of the thoughts. And that is yourself, that is your nature. Whenever the thoughts come, the moment you wake up, in fact, if you really start doing meditation, and anytime you close your eyes, you will feel the presence of thoughts, and you will also feel the presence of consciousness. That is the fruit of meditation. You will learn to abide in your inner nature of pure consciousness, and you will be aware of all the thoughts which come. And you will also learn not to identify with the thoughts, but to remain and abide in your nature. The moment we start identifying with a thought, that is called as ignorance. Many a times we don't understand what is ignorance. This can be easily understood if you are used to meditation. In meditation, what happens is you are a pure being. In that pure being, a thought comes. A thought coming is not a problem. Any thought can come about your son, about your daughter, about the work, about a friend. Any thought can come. It is the mind which says, I like this thought, I want to go after this thought. And then it jumps into the thought and then goes behind the thoughts. If the mind remains together with Atma, abides in the Atma, it is one with Ishvara, it is one with totality. The moment that I like, that mind's projection of liking or disliking a thought comes in, that is called as avidya. Avidya means you don't know the Atma, and the mind starts going towards all the thing it likes and then gets into samsara. Similarly, the mind goes up, tries to run away from things which it doesn't want. That again is an identity. That is what is called as identity. Many a times I use the term identity. I identify as a waker I. The moment I wake up in the morning, thoughts will come, the identification is automatic, and the world of the waker starts. Automatically, it's a phenomena which happens in this beautiful universe. The same thing happens, you go to sleep, this identification of the waker drops, you go sleep, you become a sleeper I. The sleeper I resolves where? The waker I resolves in the Atma. Everything is happening in Atma only. It is all in consciousness only, it's happening. When you understand this Mandukya Upanishad correctly, anything which Ramana Maharishi states in the Divine Quotes section which we have, you see so many messages of Ramana Maharishi. Everything which if you understand this pure being, you will appreciate those divine quotes, and you will say, oh my goodness, that is the same teaching I'm getting in the Upanishads. Exactly what you are. He is speaking from that pure consciousness point of view. If you see his quotes, you will find that almost every quote is from the basis of Atma, from the substratum of Atma. How he sees the world. You can also see the world in the same way if you know that you are that pure being. You can abide in that pure being as the presence, a living presence. It is not an inert. Turiyam I is not an inert thing. Conscious being is not inert. It is consciousness. It is behind every thought. Keno Upanishad clearly says, Pratibodha viditam matam. Every thought, every knowledge of the world is because of this light of knowledge of consciousness. Thoughts are not the knowledge. Thoughts belong to the objects of the world. But the knowledge belongs to the subject consciousness. That pure knowledge, I am, is the turiya, which is called as samanya jnanam. I am means I am aware, I am existent, I am consciousness. Existence and consciousness are the two coins, two sides of the coin, of the same coin, the pure being. So many times people think I am the mind. So here it says achintya means drop that you are the mind. In the previous one, I am the doer of actions. Drop the doership. You are not the doer. You are the pure awareness. You are not the knower of things. You are the pure awareness. Eyes are seeing the world. The ears are hearing the world. That is the ego I. The mind attached to the sense organs sees or experiences the world. That is the waker I, the dreamer I. And when both are not, when the mind is not working, it is inert, it is passive, it's gone into unmanifest condition. That is what is called as the sleep condition. These are 10 indicators we have finished. Alakshanam. Alakshanam means indicators. Anything which we see or hear, we can indicate and say it is not a sound, it is not a form, it is not a color, it is not a smell. All that we can say. Alakshanam. But still we are using some words to explain this pure consciousness. It's mostly negation. You see, what happens is when a thought comes in your mind, oh, could Atma be this? Could Atma be this? Then you can negate. All these are all achintyam, agrahyam, alakshanam, avyapadeshyam. All these are negations. So the negation, through the negation language, we can reach the highest in this creation. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says neti neti. That is also the words of the Upanishad. If you drop the body, drop the mind, whatever remains, consider that as your pure nature. For fire, smoke is the lingam. For different things, we can have lingam, indicators. But for Atma, because it is not an object, it is the subject on which the entire world of objects depends. That subject cannot be indicated. It doesn't have indicators. That is what the Upanishad says here. Avyapadeshyam. Upadesha means you can describe. You can give a name. Pure consciousness doesn't have a name. Names and forms are given in the objective world, not to Atma. Awareness is of nothingness also. That means you're aware that nothing exists. In sleep state, I know that there is nothing, but I'm aware. That is called as turiyam I. So the turiyam cannot be known by any of the words. All these are trying to tell us that whatever we can utter through our tongue, it is not Atma. Ekatma pratyaya saram. It is the essence of one constant thought. In waking, I am a knower. Knowledge goes on changing depending on the objects. Similarly, in the dream, I am a knower of the dream world. Prapancha means the world, it keeps on changing. The prapancha means the waking state. In the waking state, I see the world. This world is changing rapidly, but you don't feel it because our eyes cannot feel the changes which are happening in the world. It's a different, the eyes can only experience changes up to a certain level. That's all. We don't have any instruments to see all the changes going on. In a table, for example, there are protons, neutrons, they're all rapidly changing. The earth is moving, but our eyes cannot, we don't have the instrument to perceive the earth moving, the sun remaining stationary, the planets, the galaxies are all moving. Prakriti itself is change. But we don't have the instruments. I am the changeless substratum is what the Upanishads tells me. The whole waking, in the waking state, we don't see the dream state. In the dream state, we don't see the waking state. But there is something which is common in both. There is one individual which is in the waking state, in the dream state, in the sleep state. What is that I, which is invariably there in all the changing ego states? That I is this turiyam I. So, from my personality, if I remove, I am the mother I, the father I, the brother I, the son I, the boss I, the lawyer I, what if I strip myself of all the roles I play in this world, still there is a I thought. That is called as the pure turiyam, pure being. Ekatma pratyaya saram. Ekatma, there is only one inner being, and that inner being is Ishvara. It is one with Ishvara. This is what in the Bhagavad Gita in the 13th chapter, the second verse, idam shariram kaunteya kshetrajna, that verse, second verse and the third verse describe this turiyam is as kshetrajna. It is the same principle, pure consciousness. I am ekatma pratyaya saram. Human being, happy, ignorant, they are all with reference to the body or mind. With reference to a male body, female body, we are all human beings. With reference to the mind's conditions, the states of the mind, morning I'm very, very happy, afternoon I'm very rajasic, I want to do all actions. When evening comes, I want to go and sleep. So that is the condition of the mind. So you remove all the names which you give to yourself. I am ignorant. I am intellect. I have got an intellect. I understand. I don't understand. Understanding, not understanding. Having a memory, not having memory. These are all conditions of the intellect. Buddhi. Prapancho upashamam. When upashamam means resolution, when the resolution of the whole world happens, that cessation of the world happens in the sleep state. And that is the nature of pure consciousness. What lies beyond the resolution of the world. That is why we say manifest, unmanifest, jagat. Manifestation in the waking and the dream state. Unmanifest in the sleep state. But beyond this manifest and unmanifest, there is a reality. That reality is turiyam I, the pure Atma. It is not anything else we are talking about. We are not talking about some object, something I will feel after studying the Upanishads. No. Right now, I am that Atma, which the Upanishad is saying, this is your true nature all the time. Not when you were born, not when you have started studying the Upanishads. No, that is your nature throughout. With knowledge, without knowledge, that is your nature. But through the Upanishad, I come to understand. I try to learn what is this pure being. Learning this Atma, understanding this Atma, claiming this Atma makes a huge difference in life. So much so, the Upanishad says you won't even have a rebirth. With this knowledge of Atma, you won't have a rebirth because you will realize that all this is happening in consciousness, and there is nothing beyond this pure awareness. Everything else is mithya. That is what is said in the next chapter in the of the Upanishads. We'll be studying that also. Shantam. This is absolute peace. It is not a peace of the mind in a active condition, in an inactive condition, but this is beyond the mind. There is a peace which exists. This is what every seeker, when he meets the Guru or any Swamiji, they say, I have everything in life. Please bless me with peace of mind. Upanishad says, come and study Mandukya Upanishad. You will realize that absolute peace is your own nature. Learn this Upanishad properly. Own up this turiyam I. Drop the waker I, dreamer I, and the sleeper I as a real I. They are all experiences. We do our duty. We go through the motions of the three states. But the only thing which we learn from the Upanishad is, they are not me. I am this pure being. We'll continue this 16th onwards next week. This is a beautiful topic. This is the most important mantra. You can read the commentaries of anybody you know. Swami Chinmayananda's commentary on this is beautiful. Anybody's, Sarva Priyananda has given a talk on this. So you can listen whatever Swamiji you like. But the fundamental thing is understand that it is superimposition. Everything is superimposed on the Atma. If that principle is clear, you can take any commentary, you can listen to anybody, and you can understand the true meaning of these words. These are all words, they appear very simple, but they reveal the inner essence in us. So I will continue this next week. I will stop with the 16th one. We'll start next week. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachade Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavasishyade. Om Shanti Shanti. Shanti. Okay, I have a few questions here on the chat board. How important is samadhi for Atma Jnana? Can jnanam happen without samadhi? Yes, it is possible to have jnanam without samadhi. Samadhi is a tool of the mind. You can use your mind to quieten. It depends on each individual. Many people have a very quiet mind by nature. Some of us have a very rajasic mind. Generally, it is said that if you know the truth by knowledge, that is enough for moksha. The knowledge about Atma is the final step, which is what is called as Atma Jnanam. There is a guru who teaches that your true nature is pure consciousness. The true nature of the whole universe is this same consciousness principle. Tat Tvam Asi is Jnanam. Samadhi is a concept of yoga. The yoga philosophy talks about samadhi state, which is chitta vritti nirodha. Many questions have been asked. In Vedanta, in Advaitam, what we say is, we take the yoga sadhanas for chitta shuddhi, for the purification of the mind. We use whatever is the means they tell us, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. But we don't accept the yoga philosophy, because yoga philosophy is Dvaita. I am aware of the samadhi state. I am separate than the pure nature of the mind. That is what is called as Dvaita. So to your question, can jnanam happen without samadhi? Yes, it can happen without samadhi. Samadhi means dhi means samam. If you're talking about the yoga definition of samadhi, then this answer is correct. If you're talking general samadhi as a general meaning, that means you purify your mind, you make your mind, that intellect samam through different means. It need not be through the method of chitta vritti nirodha. You sing, for example, you do kirtanam, you make the dhi samam. You can chant Vishnu Sahasranamam, you can make your dhi samam. So in different ways you can make the buddhi into a sattvic buddhi, into a I'm sure you understand that you make your intellect free of rajas, free of agitations. Generally, they say this pure Atma shines in that buddhi. Shines means what? I come to realize my own nature. When the buddhi is in rajasic mode, I tend to identify with each thought. What happens is, I suddenly get a thought of the office, or thought of the family, or thought of someone close to me, or some incident which has happened. These are all different thoughts, different thought patterns. They come and go. But it is possible only by knowledge you can say, I am that pure awareness. This knowledge comes from the Veda. You have to use the Veda as a pramanam. When you use the Veda as a pramanam, you can own up that pure consciousness as the real nature. There is no other way of claiming moksha, claiming this consciousness. There's no other way. You can suppose you through yoga or any other method, you just make the mind calm. Then you wouldn't know what to do next. Many people come to me and say, okay, I have a very blank state of mind, but what to do next? Because they don't have the knowledge of Atma. So I hope I have answered your question. In case it's still not clear, Kumar, are you clear now? Okay. The second question is from Krishnamurti, Chitra Krishnamurti, I think. Lingam is associated with the form of Shiva, usually, but here the word lingam is an indicator. Which is the right meaning? Yeah, lingam has got many meanings. Shiva lingam is an example or a symbol for Shiva. That meaning is different. Here the meaning is indicator. These are all indicators by which I keep meditating on these indicators. For example, avyavaharyam. Avyavaharyam means Atma, nature of Atma is it is never involved in action. And which is the state in which I am there, but there is no vyavahara. In the sleep state, there is no vyavahara. There is no interactions happening with the world, neither with the organs of action, with the organs of knowledge. But I exist. So avyavaharyam, if I understand that meaning and go towards that meaning, it reveals to me my nature. The word drops itself, and what happens is you get the meaning clear. The meaning merges with your nature. How these chitta vrittis minimized? Can they be stopped before they rise? That's a good question. See, this chitta vritti is very difficult to control. Very difficult. It's like the heart beating. Continuously it breathes. It's we are breathing continuously. The heart is pumping blood. Digestion keeps on going. Now, when it comes to the buddhi, there is no way to stop this incessant flow of thoughts. No way. Generally, I can say that it just happens. That is the nature of the mind. Like you cannot stop, you cannot tell the wind, don't blow in this direction, because it just blows in whatever direction it just wants to move. So similarly, chitta vritti is generally, definitely, for most of us, it's very difficult. If you do yoga, that means you follow the 8 steps of yoga. That means you do asanas, you do pranayama. If you do all those yogic techniques, then there is a possibility that your vrittis will get minimized. It's possible. But not stop. You cannot stop them permanently. You can stop them temporarily for a few seconds, for a few minutes. When people ask in the first question the samadhi state of yoga, some people can remain in samadhi for 8 hours, 6 hours. But then that requires a lot of practice, and it's not required. To understand you are the Atma, it is not required. That is what Shankaracharya says. He says, you just use the knowledge of the scriptures. It is possible. See, why do you want to stop the vrittis? You should ask this question. I want to stop because I want to realize myself. Right? That is the main thing which I want. It is not that vritti stopping is not the ultimate goal. Learning, abiding in Atma is the goal. So drop that feeling that I should stop the vrittis and then only I will realize that is a wrong, it's a notion in the mind. Let it happen, let it join, but keep this what I said during the class, during the session today. This is what many advanced acharyas have taught in a text like Panchadasi. In the 10th chapter of the Panchadasi, a beautiful example comes and all that. Anyway, I'll be taking that, perhaps I'll be taking that after Mandukya Upanishad. I'm thinking of taking Panchadasi, 10th chapter. But there, the Acharya clearly says that you can remain as Atma, the pure being awareness. The ignorance which we have, please note this point very carefully, because this ignorance is something which we don't understand very well. It is vague. But in Panchadasi, in the 10th chapter, in the 14th, 15th verse of that chapter, the author makes it so clear. He is a brilliant mind. You know, this Vidyaranya Swamiji, who has written that book of Panchadasi, I mean, he has analyzed these vrittis in such a great detail. If you want to study the mind and the vritti and the different types of vritti, Panchadasi is the text. So here, in just I'll tell you only one point. He says, you can remain as the awareness. If a thought comes, let it come. If it is a thought which I have to act on it during the normal duty and all that, you don't forget. You just keep doing your duty and that's it. What he says about the dissection of a thought, this is like like a heart surgery of a human mind. So he says that if that awareness principle remains and it observes a thought, that thought gets attached to the human mind, not to Atma. The mind gets and says, wakes up and says, oh, I like this. I like to follow this thought. The mind projects a like for a particular thought or a particular object outside. At that level, you can stop it. You can just create a space between the projection. The projection of I like, I don't like is ignorance. That is what is called as ignorance. That is why we say the whole mind's projections of waking state and dream state is all ignorance. And that is why we say ignorance, the sleep state, is the cause of the waking and the dream. I hope I have answered this. Okay. How to stay with this awareness every moment, because we used to forget our true nature due to vrittis. Yes. This comes by habit. We have a lot, by habit, we are attached to the vrittis. Every thought which comes to us in our mind, because of our vasanas, because of our purva janma vasanas or this janma vasanas, we get attached to the thoughts which rise in our mind, either as a like or a dislike. This is what is called as birth and death. Our whole life is nothing but a bundle of vrittis coming in the mind, we getting attached to it, enjoying sorrow, enjoying happiness or sorrow. That's all. That is what the whole life is. If you break it down into a vritti form, it is easy for us to understand the whole life. Morning to evening, we are only working with our mind. Our mind is nothing but the vrittis. If I see the world as it is called as Ishvara Srishti. That means the power of awareness flows through the sense mind and sense organs. It sees the creation as created by the Lord. That is perfect. That is Ishvara Srishti. You have a clear vision. You are a Jivan Mukta. There is no problem. What happens to Ajnani? Ajnani means a person who has no knowledge about the scriptures, about the power of awareness and the power of the world and the power of the mind. He doesn't know about this consciousness. He thinks he is the mind and then identifies with the objects as likes and dislikes and then runs the whole life. I'm not happy with my present state. I think I project. This is what is called a superimposition. I project that if I get a MSc degree or a PhD degree, I will be happy. This is called as projection of a human mind in ignorance. If I get this job, I'll be happy. If I get married, I'll be happy. If I have children, I'll get happy. If I withdraw from family, I'll be happy. Both pravritti and nivritti will give me happiness at different times. These are all projections of the vrittis. It is possible to live without getting identified with the vrittis. That is what is called as a jnani. Jnani is never identified with his mind as the self. He will still keep on doing actions. Whatever action has to be done, he will be teaching. He'll be going with the flow of life, like you and me. You can never know a difference between jnani and ajnani. The difference lies in the internal condition of a jnani. He is not identified with the mind as self, body as self. He is so free, totally free. He is a Jivan Mukta. That is what is moksha. When you talked about the four padas, you mentioned the fourth pada where there is no sapta linga. Can you please elaborate? Yeah. See, there is what we say is the fourth pada is the turiya. Turiya means it is the pure consciousness. In other padas, we have different experiences. Waking state, there is a prapancha. In the dream state, there is a prapancha. We use different lingams, eko vamshadi lingam. That is, we talked about the different parts of the bodies used for experiences. In the fourth pada, that means waking, dream, and sleep, we are aware of something or the other. There is an objective existence. In the waking, I'm aware of all the body. From the body itself, I'm aware. Body, mind, the world, everything is aware. It's an objective world. But this is what is called as bahish prajna. And lingams are what? Lingams are the instruments which I use for the experiences. In the last turiyam, in the fourth pada means what? It is the only pada. If you understand the turiyam correctly, in the next chapter and in the second and the third chapter or the fourth chapter, this commentator teaches us that Advaitam principle. You see, when I in the notes, when I go through the through these notes, you will not understand Ekatma Pratyaya Saram, or you won't understand Advaitam principle clearly. This will come in the second and the third chapters. So just wait for that chapters to understand this Saptalinga and where there's no lingam, where if you, I hope you're clear, Ramesh. Okay, that's correct. Is there anything else anybody wants to ask?
Yes, sir. Thank you. It's clear now, sir. I understood.
Okay, very good.
I'll wait for the next chapter. But I understand that the fourth pada is the only pada. That I understand.
Yes, that's correct. Turiyam pada is the Advaitam principle. It's a non-dual principle. Non-dual means what? When you understand that consciousness is the real nature of mind and the real nature of the whole universe, the Upanishad wants to say that this is what is the ultimate reality. Everything else which you see is only an appearance. The body I see, the mind also I know. Whatever you see, whatever you know is not you. You are not the body or mind, you are that pure consciousness. And it clearly says that pure consciousness is the only thing which exists. For example, initially you look at a ring, bangle, and a chain. The tree, when your vision is on the tree, that means your vision is on the waking state, bangle. Your vision is on the dream state, ring. Your vision is on the necklace state, neck chain state, that is the sleep state. You can say that these are all the ego states. But later on, a guru comes and tells you, why are you thinking about chain, ring, and bangle?
See the gold.
See the gold. The gold is Turiyamai. Without that awareness, none of these will exist. This body itself doesn't exist without that awareness principle. And that is your pure nature. When the body itself doesn't exist, where is the world? Forget about the world. This is the ultimate teaching of the Advaita principle of Upanishads. Non-dual. You have to come to this non-dual principle. There is where you get moksha. That is the ultimate stage. You will get to know in the third chapter, which is Advaita Prakaranam. In the third chapter, we'll be going through it. There is a process involved. We have to go through a little bit of reasoning. The logic, the intellect has to go through some reasoning. Once it goes through the reasoning and understands the reasoning, it will appreciate the Turiyam is the real nature.
Got it. This is the Drigdrishya
yes,
principle.
You try to say there are two methods. One is Karya Karana method of dropping the world. Another is Drigdrishya method by which you can drop the world.
Right. So
we use both these methods. And the third method is Adhishtanam and Adhyasa.
Adhyasa.
These three methods you use. And then when you go through the logic of these three methods, in some cases we can use the Karya Karana method. In some cases we have to use Adhishtanam and Adhyasa. These two methods are going to be explained in the second and the third chapter.
Right. Thank you, sir.
In some books, there is a mention of Turiya Tit also, beyond Turiya. Is it exist? No. There is nothing beyond Turiyam. Turiyam is the ultimate. There is nothing beyond Turiyam, according to Shankaracharya's commentary on the Upanishad. Is that we are the Atma? Yes, you're right. All of us are the Atma. Each one of us can say, I am that pure being. And then when the body and the mind experiences come, you can say, this is anatma. This is not me. This is an appearance. It will come and go. I have no I have no control over this anatma. There is a higher principle called as Ishvara who controls this entire anatma world. We could perhaps minimize a vritti, but regardless of how many arise, the idea perhaps is that at least one recurring vritti is the one that keeps reminding us that we are the Atma. Yes, that is a good way to put it. So Santiago, you're right. In many books, they suggest, in the advanced book, they suggest, keep reminding yourself, I am Atma. Let that vritti rise. Let it rise as often as possible during the day. And then you will find that you're not so worried about the future and you're not so guilty about or regrets of the past. This one method, what you're suggesting, keep remembering, let this vritti come, let it you stay, let it remain. Then this becomes an habit. We have to cross over the habit of taking the body or the mind as me, and we have to take this pure awareness as me. This is the challenge of the Upanishads. This is the challenge we all of us face in the goal of spirituality. Whatever study we are making in the Bhagavad Gita or Upanishads, the ultimate is Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. I am that pure consciousness. All the experiences which I have are appearances. On that, I have no control. On the appearances, because there is a principle which is called as Ishvara, there is a principle which is called as Maya, Shakti. There is a power. I have the power to know myself. That is what the Upanishads are teaching me. Very directly they teach me. Where do you get this knowledge to say that I am not the waker I, the dreamer I, the sleeper I, but I am the consciousness which reveals this nature of the body and mind? Where? Nowhere in the universe you will find this knowledge. And this knowledge is a liberating knowledge for a human mind. Suddenly the human mind wakes up and says, oh my God, I never thought in this direction. If I can think in this direction and I am able to move in that direction forward, you will realize the truth. It is the truth. There is nothing else. All right. You can say, yes, what you're saying is that this thought does not belong to me. Yes, you can say that. Very good. I'm very glad that all of you are so much following this subject matter of Mandukya Upanishad so intensely. I can see from the questions which are coming up on the chat board, and it's good. Let's keep applying them. For those of you who are interested to know the human mind, this Saturday I'm starting chapter 14 of the Bhagavad Gita. If you're able to make it on a Saturday evening, you can listen to the Bhagavad Gita chapter 14. I'm beginning the class. The chapter 14 of the Bhagavad Gita is the most practical chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, or the whole entire Bhagavad Gita. It talks of the human mind. It talks of Prakriti. It talks of the three gunas. Each one of us, if I want to identify my mind, what it is, and how does the mind function, then this chapter is very useful. That means I learn to know the inner secret of the mind. What is the rajas? What is the force by which the thoughts come in the mind? That is what is explained in the chapter 14 of the Bhagavad Gita. Thank you and good night. And I'll see you next week.
Sekhaji,
Bolo Bhai.
I have a question. How to be free from the pair of opposites?
How to?
How to be free from the pair of opposites?
How to be free from the
pair of opposites.
free from the pair of opposites? Okay, that's a good question. Yeah. How do I be free from joy and sorrow? They are opposites. Honor and dishonor, they are opposites. Heat and cold, these are the opposites which are being taught in the Bhagavad Gita. The only way, I repeat, the only ultimate way is to say that this belongs to the body and mind. Whatever the opposites I am facing in life, I become happy in the morning, suddenly I become unhappy in the afternoon. Suddenly my mind starts thinking about some problem in the family. The only way to come out of these opposites is to say to yourself, remember the teaching at that time. I am able to face all the opposites in life. I am not at all affected. I am the pure consciousness. I am the Sakshi. I am the witness, uninvolved witness. Nothing happens to me. This is a promise of Lord Krishna in the Gita. He says, you are Atma, you are Kshetrajna, you are the witness. You and I, we are having the same nature. You belong to me, you don't know your nature, therefore you get attached to this opposite. Drop your identification, drop linking yourself with this. Opposites will come and go, let it come and go in life, that's all. But don't think that that is real. It is really there, I am going to be affected, something is going to happen tomorrow, all that is all mind. It is the mind which is projecting thought after thought.
It's just because we are thinking of our body, mind.
Yes, that's correct. The moment you think about the body or mind, then opposites will come. The moment you stop thinking of the body and mind, there will be no opposites.
Thank you. This secondly, just what I mean, my question is, the problem is, you see, those who are they self-realized soul, are they affected by the three gunas or five senses or whatever?
Oh, good question. Good question. What you're asking is a good question. This is what Akshay says. This is what is called a Sthita Prajna Lakshana. See, your question is clear. You should know that when you are looking at those Mahatmas, you are looking through your eyes and your mind. You are not looking at it from their eyes and their mind about themselves. So from your angle, they appear to be very normal. They appear to be also suffering. But actually speaking, when you go into their own mind and their own thoughts, what Bhagavad Gita clearly says is they are sthita prajna. They are not at all affected. A jnani is not affected. That's why I keep repeating these two words. Jnani will never identify himself with the body. Jnani will never identify himself with the mind. Never. He will just, okay, the mind has come and gone. For him, it is almost insignificant. I do certain actions in the day. It is an insignificant part of me, but I am the pure consciousness, the pure presence. He always lives with the pure presence. You and I can do that also. That is what this Mandukya Upanishad is teaching us. Learn to live as the pure presence all the time. Okay?
But Shankaracharya in the book I read, they says even the noblest person will have a glimpse of some kind of feeling or some kind of sense feeling, object feeling or something.
No, it could be possible. It is possible
Ah.
that they will also have, but don't bother about it. See, let them have what they want, but let us try to become pure. Our goal should be, I should think about myself more and more.
Mhm.
How can I be pure? How can I learn to drop my thoughts? How can I make my mind pure by not thinking of all the bad things which can happen? Just drop them. If it happens, it happens. So what? My mind, I just take myself as the pure soul. I am. I will face whatever comes. I'll face it. What will face is the body and mind alone will face.
Because all of us are having body, mind, and intellect, so we will face these certain things that
Yes, that's
are
correct.
unpleasant.
Yes,
Right?
yes, you're right. Thank you and good night. Thank you.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shiliji.
Thank you, Rohit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.